As the economy recovers, the Reserve Bank Governor can talk about Australia in a way few other central bankers can.
Even most of the optimists are probably a little surprised at the economy's performance.
And with rhetoric more optimistic than the government, he appears to be saying, don't rule out another rate rise next month.
On the best reading of all the information we have at present, this appears to have been one of the mildest downturns we've had. It's likely, furthermore, that recovery is already underway.
Last month, the Treasurer said because of spare capacity, inflation won't be a short-term problem.
There is still substantial spare capacity in our economy. That is very clear. What is also very clear, and the Reserve Bank and the Treasury have said on a number of occasions, that they think that inflation remains subdued in the near term.
The Reserve Bank Governor is more wary. He suggests there's less slack in the economy and that inflation may become a problem sooner than the government expects.
We start this upswing with less spare capacity than previous upswings. After a big recession, it usually takes some years of well above trend growth to eat into the spare capacity that the recession creates. This time, that process won't take as long.
Glenn Stevens appears to think inflation is almost as good as it's going to get. And he says underlying inflation will probably come down only a little more in the period ahead. Today, Wayne Swan had another agenda.
We take tax reform very seriously.
Most treasurers give it a try, and a few succeed. But with far-reaching changes expected to be canvassed in Ken Henry's review, Wayne Swan says you can count on an election centred on tax.
But the government is looking for a degree of community consensus in this area. I make that very clear. But the magnitude of the changes may be so big, then they may well require a fresh mandate.
But like treasurers before him, he says change will bring some pain.
And the reality is that in a cash-constrained environment, there will inevitably be winners and losers. And of course, that wider expectation that everybody can get something simply fails to recognise that what's good for the economy can be good for the broader community as a whole.
And like his predecessors, Wayne Swan says he's looking to simplify your tax return.
A simpler tax and transfer system, I do believe, would please everybody. It's astounding that more than 70% of Australian taxpayers pay someone else to complete their tax return, more than any other country.
There are many reasons for tax reform, and as one former Treasury official points out, one simple reason is that the next few budgets will still have a big hole that needs filling.
People haven't noticed that even in the latest set of forecasts out of Treasury, that in 2012-13, so after the economy's better, after the stimulus packages are through, there's still a deficit of $16 billion a year. Now, if we've got to fix that, that's really expensive and really politically difficult to do.
Less politically difficult, perhaps. Glenn Stevens says the government guarantee for banks' wholesale funding may soon be switched off.
I myself think we're getting pretty close to not needing it. I think many of the banks in the past month, most of their issuance has been unguaranteed, even offshore. So it will be able to pass from the scene before much longer, I think.
Ken Henry's tax review goes to the government on Christmas Eve.